it's not so much that's important, it's the timing of this. And you know, your audience and my audience know that we've got aircraft carriers off the coast of Spain, Australia, Britain, and probably elsewhere. But what I know, you know, Charlie, but you've held off from saying, but what most people don't know is that those aircraft carriers, the hangars have been completely gutted out, and they are military tribunals taking place in those aircraft carriers. And we're probably you and I, the only ones to break this news. I don't think even some of the great people like SG and On, or I don't think they've come out with it. The reality is that, first of all, it's off American soil. Mm-hmm. So they can have a court, and you can bring people in by helicopter to land on the top of the aircraft carrier, and then they're just taken down by a lift or a hydraulic ramp, and then they're processed. And that's what these aircraft carriers are doing. Although the jets on the front are armed and they are active. So that's that point there. In terms of, we want to talk a little bit about, I think, the RV, because your insiders, like my group, are doing the projects. We feel that Dubai 1 has completed. We feel that Dubai 2 is on the process now. And that's really important, because that should be seen as linking with the United States note being gold-backed. And I know that President Trump went to Geneva on Thanksgiving, and that's why Thanksgiving Day was such a really important day, because he sat down with a number of people. And he probably even sat down with your boss, Charlie, and, you know, signed the United States note into a gold backing. Now, that was really important, although at the time and the day after, nobody picked up on that, nobody knew. The reality is now that nothing can stop it, because that's happened. And the link, I think now, as you'll know, Charlie, is with Iraq. What's Iraq going to do? The protocol is Iraq has to do something, and then it all falls through in terms of the domino effect.
No, I think you're absolutely bang on right. And I'm glad that you mentioned about the US military ships. If you're in Portsmouth, you can look out there with pride, knowing that there's military tribunals going on for the corrupt British politicians and corrupt members of high society, let's put it that way, rather than naming names. But the military tribunals are ongoing off the coast of Portsmouth on the US military ship. Also in Hobart in Australia, for the Australians who are watching, you'll be very glad to know that the arrests are taking place there, and they are being tried on these military ships. Talking to the team that they are going to allow the central bank digital currency to be introduced so that people see how evil it is, because most people would not believe how bad it is. And there's trials going on from, I don't know, it's from December the 1st, but certainly it's going to go on for 3 months, either from December or January the 1st, for a 3-month period. People need to see this, and the people need to reject it. Because if you don't reject it, you'll become a slave. And there are people out there who will accept it because they want to be a slave.
Charlie, SG and On, in one of his latest ones, and it was a bit concerning, he actually said, in his opinion, that the banks would say if you had not been vaccinated against COVID, you would not be allowed to draw money out of the bank. Now, he's actually gone and done a podcast on that. I'm not sure about that. What do you think?
I've got SG and on Friday.
I'll ask him, will you?
So I will ask him. But I would think that if that was a criteria, if you're not vaccinated, you're not allowed to go into the central bank digital currency. I think that would be absolutely brilliant for every single person.
Yeah.
That say, well, I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think any of the unvaccinated would want to be a part of the central bank digital currency. I think
that would work really well for us, because
of course it would.
My podcast, I said it's the poor old awake and aware that are being kicked in the stomach all the time. So if they could actually do that, then we would actually be rewarded.
Of course we would. And then the 50% of the people who've been vaccinated would be thinking, do I really want to be locked into this system? Because there are people that are awake, but they've done nothing. And this is where maybe this is where that'll be the wake up that they'll realize.
Listen, the thing is that what people are forgetting is that it's been on a nice slow crash ever since Trump was officially out of the office. There has been a crash, but it's been carefully managed. And what's happened is that the most evil companies on the planet, they're the ones being hammered far more than the small family groups. Now, Charlie will know that there may be some targeted reduction in certain companies, but why would the white hats want to take over a broke America? Now, when that RV money comes in, that can rejuvenate very quickly. But what's difficult is the mums and dads businesses in America and across the planet. That's very difficult to build up. And I think the white hats are very keen to try to get in fairly quickly, because the idea of America and apple pie is actually the small hardware store, the small holder, and not all the huge stores. So I can't see a destruction in the stock market hurting the smaller companies. I can see them targeting the bigger companies. What do you think, Charlie?
I think 95% that's accurate. I think some of the small people will get hit. Some people will. But when as we move across into the quantum financial system, I think the gains from that side of it will far outweigh the losses that have been lost on the stock exchange. Just remember that everything has already been mirrored. Everything within the banks, within the stock exchange, has already been mirrored within the quantum system.